Welcome everybody to the What's New in SPAD 0.5. Yes, we left beta status and have now a full release of 0.5 with all the devices, original SPAD supported, and a lot more features. As always, I will guide you through the changes and explain some changes under the hood. For the usability, first of all, we have some changes like it remembers now which panel you had last opened and will it open again if you start up SPAD the next time, and it will remember the last profile you have been loading when you started up, to a limitation. I will come to that in a second. And we finally enabled automatic updates. So if you don't want any automatic updates, as always, you can turn it off in the application settings. The first major change you will notice is that you can now configure the profiles a bit more, which means you can assign aircrafts to profiles. You get there by going to the profile section, click the edit profile button. Dialog will open where you can give the profile another name, and you will see which aircrafts has been found on your system and which are assigned to this profile. You can sort the available aircraft by type, by manufacturer, or by publisher. There's a bug in the number, going to fix it soon. First test for the auto update feature. So if you want to assign an aircraft to this profile, in this case I'm using the Cessna 172 profile I provide with the application, which is a basic profile, going to explain it a bit in a second. You can either go down and select an aircraft and move it over there, so it's assigned to this profile as soon as you save it. Or if you say I want all one propeller machines assigned to this profile, I just select the section and say okay, go on, move it all to this profile. And of course I can say, oh, the racer ones I don't want here, I move them back. It will list all planes available and all subclasses. Now if I save this, it will be saved automatically, and as soon if I now load any of these aircrafts, this profile, the current active one, will be loaded automatically. This means even if SPAD.next remembers the last profile you used, if you start up SPAD.next and an aircraft is connected that has an assigned profile, it will automatically switch to that profile. If you switch to a profile that is not assigned, you will get an dialog. I'm gonna do this. As you see here, I currently have the Learjet loaded. I'm gonna switch to the Bombardier now, my favorite show-off plane. Let's move a bit this over here, so we change it. Let's go to the home page and use the Bombardier. It will load it and move it away so it doesn't disturb. It will say that the Bombardier has no profile assigned, and I have the option to use the current profile, and it will assign it automatically to this profile and save it. Or I can use the default profile which I have set in the settings here, which has this check marks over there, and I can say which should be my default profile with this little button here, the third one in the profiles. So if I select yes, As I did now, the Bombardier got automatically assigned to this profile. If I select no, the default profile will be loaded, but the aircraft will not be assigned to it. If you want to do that, you have to do that manually. So that's so far about the configuration changes for profile loading. Let's go to the devices. All the devices got a graphical overhaul with new graphics and a lot of twitches and tweaks. Graphics done by Darren. If you want to give him a kudos, and I recommend you to do it, just go to the forums and leave the Desman a message. He'll appreciate it. So you will notice through all the panels that they all got a graphical overhaul. For the general configuration of switches or dials or displays, we have some new features. As you might know from the update from beta 0.4, we have this edit menu where you basically can copy a configuration of a switch to the clipboard, which you can then send around per mail, save it to a file or whatever, or paste it to another switch, or even swap the clipboard and the switch configuration, or clear the switch configuration. In the main configuration of a switch or of a display or dial, you'll notice some changes. We had to change it because the radio panel is so complicated that we had to think of a new way how to configure the stuff. And while we did that, we implemented a long requested feature that you can add more than one action to a switch, which is reassembling here. On the left hand side you can see the values, you can configure how it's configured right now, and you have three buttons you can use. First one to configure the switch, actually, then to add a new event to the switch, gonna show that in a second, or you can delete or clear the settings. If you click on the configure, the layout of the control has changed a bit, and you will notice some new features here. I'm not gonna using this, I'm gonna using the cowl because okay, it's used as well. Usually I don't use it as a trigger. So if I go here, I have a new option, FSX control and virtual joystick button. I'm gonna show that in a second. For those of you going for PMGGs, yes, it's possible to use the PMGG offsets, but please make sure that you read the FSU IPC documentation about about PMGG offsets. There are some drawbacks, the offsets not being updated if you switch from another plane to the PMGG. So be sure to read it. If you now select FSX control, you get a drop down here with all the controls known to the program, which you can select and give an optional parameter. Again, see the FSU IPC documentation about the controls. Basically it does nothing else than sending to the FSX that I used that control or clicked on that control. You can also give mouse clicks here and button down and button ups. Again, see the FSU IPC configuration documentation, sorry. And you can select virtual joystick button, where you can bind an action to a virtual joystick button from FSU IPC and have this little click button to simulate the click event so that you can configure it in FSU IPC. With a little plus sign, you can add an additional event to value, and so I get a new one which is also called value on unconfigured, and I say first of all I want to change this offset for the cowl flaps for the engine 1, and additionally I want to change the cowl flap for engine 2. So if you have a multiple engine aircraft loaded, you can use it that way. Or you can of course assign the control for all cowl flaps open. Let me save it, and everything's fine. Let me stop linking. Okay. Nothing more changed to the switch panel. Let's go first to the bib panel. Not much has changed here, but the UI updates, and you will notice a little nifty test button on top, which has been previously on the screw on the upper left hand. And if you click it, all panels will go green, so you see what plates you have currently in the bib. From the configuration, nothing else has changed. You can only configure it to offsets in this version. I'll come back to that in a little bit. And again, nothing big has changed here. You can use the comparators and the values and give it a caption. If you need help how to use the comparators, there is FAQ in the forums, which you can reach using the help button. For the multi-panel, apart from the graphical updates and UI updates, we have some functional updates. As you easily can see, we have really colored button now, and that's only for the UI. So yellow, orange one means this function is off. A yellow one means this function is on and has been activated by a short click. And short click means that you press the button less than 1 second. Then we have the red ones. That means this function is on and activated via a long click. Means you press the button longer than a second. And then we have the half yellow, half red. That's long and short are active. For the autopilot, it's white and white shaded red. On the hardware panel, this will be reassembled by the following. If it's activated via short click, the button will be lit permanently. If it's activated via a long click, the button will flash once a second. If it's activated by short and long click, means both functions are active, it will flash twice a second. If you go into the configuration for it, you will see that you have the short click and the long clicks to configure. Again, here you can add multiple actions to one value, so you can do multiple things. Then we have the same for the flaps. You can have short click, which is in this case the flaps control, means move the flaps up 1 notch. The notches are read automatically from the aircraft loaded. And in the case we have a long click, it will issue the control flaps up, which will move the flaps fully up. auto start throttle, we have only the on and off because it has no long click, because it's a permanent button. And then we have the pitch trim, and let's see if I can make it move. Oh, I guess I turned it off. Application, where was it? Multi-panel, show trim animation, there it is. Now we should see it. Okay, works like a charm. Usually a trim animation should be shown here now. No idea why it doesn't work. Strange. Gonna check that. For the pitch trim, you can configure the nose up and nose down, what shall happen there. And as you might have noticed, there's a new option, configure sensitivity, and there you can configure how the pitch trim shall behave. So how many units it should move if you move the dial up or down a bit, how many steps, then how sensitive it shall be. So if it's moving too fast, you move it more to the right. If it's too slow, move it more to the left. And you can configure the sensitivity of the indicator here. So since this is depending a lot on the aircraft, you have to find out what's good for your aircraft type, which means in this case 414 means that over here is nose down 414 and down here is nose up 414. Depends on the aircraft what values are supported. For the selector switches, there's a general change. It's no longer that you have hover over the switch position to configure it, but you have to actually move the selector. So if I want to configure the indicated airspeed, I have to move the selector there to be able to configure it. And there, as always, I can bind the display to a value, and then I can bind the tuner or the dial. I can tell SPAD.next what shall happen if I move the tuner clockwise. And there's a new option. I can have razor control, I can use a virtual button, or I can say bind it to a value. This means if this tuner changes clockwise, I want the value that is used for the display to be changed. Or I can do a circle here. And yes, I am sure, and same for the counterclockwise, I have it bound as well to the display one. So how many units does it change if I move the dial? I can configure it using the configure dials menu entry, and can say how many units it shall change, clockwise or counterclockwise. So if I go to let's say the altitude, the preset is 100 feet in clockwise and minus 100 feet in counterclockwise. So that's the changes so far for the panels, you know. So here we are to the new stuff, the radio panel. Basically it works the same like the multi-panel. To configure the setting of a selector, you have to move the selector to that state. Let's go to the COM1 one, and everything in the upper row and in the lower row is configured via one setting. So if I go to configure now for the COM1, which is selected, I see a lot of values. First of all, I can assign it something if this selector is selected, that's value on, or is unselected, So means you can have something like transitioning. If I'm moving from COM1 to COM2 and COM1 comes off, then do something. Then I can configure the left and the right display, which are bound to the COM frequency on the left and COM1 standby frequency on the right hand side for this profile. Then I can bind the tuner dial, the inner dial and the outer dial. What shall happen if the tuner is turned, the inner tuner is turned clockwise? They are all bound to the right display to behave the same as in the aircraft. And then we have the short and long click, which mean what shall happen if you click the activate standby button. In this case, a short click will swap the frequencies, and the long click will do nothing. Again, a long click means I press it longer than 1 second. So if I do a short click, both set frequencies will swap. And if I turn it, the frequency will change. That's the outer dial, that's the inner dial, and I can configure the sensitivity and the steps for the inner and the outer tuner. That's for with the profile I provide the upper panel and the lower panel are configured identically with default values. So we have COM1 settings, COM2 settings, the nav1, the nav2, the ADF settings, DME. In this case I configured it to show the DME distance strings from FSX, since I don't have an DME selected. I show 0 right now. And for the last one we have the transponder, which is configured to the left hand side, show the altimeter setting in hectopascals, and the right hand side the transponder frequency. You will notice the little dots in the frequency. This is a marker for which digit shall change if I turn something. So as you can see, the inner dial is bound to the right display, means the transponder. The outer dial is bound to the left display, which is the altimeter setting, so I can change both displays with this. And then we have a short click bound to change digit mark, means the digit that will be changed by turning the inner tuner will move on right. If it's on the last position, no digit will be shown. That's a limitation of the display on your device. And the long click is mounted to set the altimeter to standard pressure. So if I change it now, first I can change it to a short click, second, and the last one. Or with the outer dial I can change the barometric pressure, and now you see a little gimmick I did. For the lower panel, the transponder settings show on the left hand side the altitude of the aircraft, and on the right hand side the ground elevation. So since I changed the barometric settings, my autopilot tries to catch up my set-in settings, so we set it back to standard and it should rise again. So that's pretty much it. What has changed? A little note about the future. At this point I declare feature complete for the SPAD.next on SPAD loosely based from the IDE's version, means At this point, SPAD.next supports everything the original SPAD has supported. At least I think so. If you have something I missed, please leave me a message in the forums. So now I will move on to additional features like the flight instrument panel support, like support for SimConnect and for LWAS and other nifty stuff. All these new advanced features that will come now will be part of the registered or extended version of SPAD.next, which will be available as soon as it's released. All these basic features you have now will always stay for free. So only if you want extended stuff, you are encouraged to register your version. Of course, the basic function will get bug fixes and stuff that comes into the extended version. That means that is useful for the free version will be for free as well. So just that you know, there will be a registered version of SPAD.next very soonish with some very nifty, nice features. If you have ideas, just pop into the forums. Before I forget it, thanks to Flights in Eindhoven again for gifting me the radio panel, so I could implement it. So that's pretty much it for the 0.5. Head over to the forums if you have any questions. All the beta testers are there. They can they had almost 2 months time now to play around with the 0.5 and can help you out for sure. One additional gimmick that will come within the next weeks is that for the BIP you can select defaults. So like if you go here and you will get a menu to say I want to select a default and I want the default for engine 1 on fire, so you don't have to configure everything yourself. But that's it. Come over to the forums, leave your opinions, ask your questions. If you have any problems, you can either write an email to support@fsgs.com or open a ticket in the forum or write a thread in the forum, and we will care about it. So have fun, always see green, see you next time.